Welcome to Low Bow Spark. This is a mental health, predominantly ADHD channel. However, uh, we like to talk about everything on here. You are free to talk about what you want, when you want, how you want. So, Kayla, what is your ADHD journey?
Having become aware of a thing called ADHD, um,
Perfect.
when I was very first introduced with the idea that it might be a condition I was living with, and there might be a substance that could almost instantly help me with those symptoms.
Right.
Um, that happened when I was in college, and I started having some observable symptoms as far as getting to work, to campus and parked and to class on time. Once I was in the classroom, nobody could tell me anything other than I'm taking notes and this is why I'm here and everything's gravy. But it was suddenly those extra challenges to my ability to succeed were making me wonder, well, is there any legitimacy to this, professional's claim? I was very opposed to their traditional method of treatment, much less even integrating that it may be part of how I operate.
Right. It,
Um,
it's
and
not wrong. That's the thing. How you operate is not wrong. It's just
right,
different. That's how I thought about it. But I'm still medicated to this day. And
uh-huh,
actually, this is the first time I will say this on any podcast. The medication is starting to take a little bit of a different route with me at my age of 41 or whatnot.
uh-huh,
Like it's affecting me differently. And that's not a good thing. And
uh,
I read that your husband was very nice, sent me some notes about this. You have a bachelor's in psychology.
yes.
What is it like having two psychologists in the same household? Because can, I can only imagine the analyzation that's going on there.
It's a relief between the two of
Nice.
us. It may be a lot for others to hear us conversate. Like when we were with some family, my father got mis what was it? He kind of overheard us miscommunicating. And as my father was sort of like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
He's like just confused about it. And so when he was speaking with my uncle said, well, don't they always work it out? Have actually heard how politely they speak through their misunderstandings with each other. And did you listen to that part? And so I think it's essential just being who I am,
Awesome.
knowing that I can fully relate to and talk around and metacognate with somebody else of that intimate level. That's
That's
for me, that's essential. But for others, it
yeah.
seems like it's sort of a lot to even witness.
Well, I would love to witness it someday. I'm gonna come visit y'all and hang out
Aw,
on the back porch because it looked gorgeous. The backdrop y'all had, y'all's backyard looks amazing.
it is
But
nice.
it is. So I jump off on tangents because I am so severely ADHD. So I have to keep reminding myself, go back to Kayla's story.
Well, this is actually why I'm so glad I get to Zoom chat with you, because once I just overheard the bit with you and Jason, and I got to see how good he felt having talked with somebody, and uh, then I got to see the actual episode, and it was just it's been such a genuine experience that
Awesome.
felt like when you were asking about some references, I was like, well, cool. I think I'd like to talk with him too. And then, of course, I did feel a little shy because I was like, is that, crossing social contacts? And,
No.
um,
It,
but
it,
yeah, so, whenever I got, sorry, I'll go back to whenever I got personally bothered by my ability to show up and succeed when I was in college,
right.
I eventually decided, let's be more humble and accept what this professional believes might be of service to me at this time.
Right.
We'll go from there. And I did experience a lot of what I would call symptomatic relief, very calm. And I had an easier time with regarding myself positively, regardless of the circumstances, which were frustrating. And I
Interesting.
found myself remembering things more often than saying I had forgotten them.
Right.
Um, and so I used that for a while. Yet then I started thinking about what was that taking its actual effect on my body, like going through the programs to get my degree was one thing, but one day when I'm desiring to be free in a way that doesn't prescribe, me from the drugstore, if
Right.
I want to become a mother, how will I carry if I have these things in my body and if I
Right.
need them stable, so I started looking for ways to live outside of that. And
That's impressive.
like it's is a lot to
It is.
like notice how I'm thinking when is one of the easiest things I changed was, oh, I forgot this. Oh, I forgot that. Well, actually, if it's in my head again, I am remembering it.
Yeah.
So like that tendency to just, I guess it's not even necessarily self-depreciating. It's just a little bit unaware, you
It,
know?
it's interesting, very interesting that you say that because one person I spoke with about a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, who knows? There's no time here with ADHD, but it was basically what he was telling me is that, yes, you lose your keys, you lose your wallet, you lose your purse, whatever. And that's fine for most people, unless every single morning you lose your keys to cause you to be late to work every single day, and then you lose your job. And that's the struggle, I think, the most part. I mean, it takes me countless. I have to wake up so much earlier than everyone else just to be able to fucking function
Right.
for, to go do the job. And then
Mm-hmm.
once I get there, thankfully I love my job. So I'm balls to the wall. But like getting to that point of being able to focus on something that you love is so much harder for us than it is for anyone else.
Uh-huh.
And that's the detriment side. The good part about that, though, is that once we do show up, we are so much better than everyone else once we get there. And I truly believe that. Like, for example, you or are you still a first grade teacher or,
I have my license to teach elementary childhood through sixth grade,
okay.
though currently, as I have described it, using all of my talents and skills doing this.
I love
So,
well, you have 3 kids. You will probably raise the best kids in the world because you will be so focused on their well-being and the betterment of them in the future. That's what I think ADHD does is, yeah, all the bullshit, all the little things don't mean a goddamn thing to us. But you throw something that matters at us, that's it. Like we will dog it to death and we will be the best parent, the best teacher, the best everything you can imagine. The problem is no one gives us a chance because we can't fold the fucking laundry. Like it's so like if you can't do the small thing well, you can't do the big thing well. Bullshit. We only focus on the bigger things. I don't think that's a detriment. I think that's an enhancement because if I put a little bit of effort into something that isn't going to change the world, how am I going to change the world? It doesn't make sense to me, but that's just the way I look at it. I view it. Um, but again, went off on a tangent. Back to your story of ADHD.
um, I did not get the go ahead of the professional who originally gave me this, good idea.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, I heard you're going out of town anyway. So I guess, we're pretty much done with this relational, professional relationship here. I will figure things out. And what has been really helping me since becoming a mother was focusing on ambidextrous activities. I got injured during the first few weeks or in the first few months of our first son's life.
Good Lord.
My right arm was very swollen, and I just barely had function of my fingers and hands. So my husband did a whole lot of auxiliary childcare and was bringing my son over and helping me to prop up the pillows for nursing. And it was at that moment that I realized society has told me that I am right-handed. My grandfather, I had been told, was ambidextrous. And that was just a thing that I was told. So I was like, okay, well, somebody I used to be related to was able to do this at some point. I'm going to Kill Bill this thing, and I want function of my left arm and hand and fingers. And I found that it was almost like being kinesthesia, like having a kinesthetic kind of dyslexia, because all my actions would typically go one side to the next because of the way I would reach and put my stance.
Right.
With the injury, it was necessary and it was motivating and it was very freeing. It helped me to start getting more of that midline back. And like even just simple things like it's not praying,
Yeah.
but the hands go together and you can press your fingers in and it's almost like, oh my God, I'm coming out of the mirror.
That's
The only time
incredible.
you see this is in a mirror when you're touching cold glass. It's not you. But
Okay.
on the part, you can really feel yourself and focus in a way that doesn't require anybody to help you talk to God.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Preach. No offense. But honestly, you just told a story that I experienced and have not told on this podcast. Obviously, you're fucking amazing. Like every person with ADHD I've met is. Um, is I broke my arm in I think it was middle school or something like that, my right arm, and I loved basketball. Or loved it. And so they put a cast on the right arm and it was going to take 8 months. The ADHD person goes out and shoots baskets left-handed over and over and over because they love basketball.
Right.
And so now I shoot better left-handed than I do right-handed, which is it's hilarious to me because the normal person will say, "Oh shit, my arm is broken. I can't play." When we
Bollocks.
figure out a way to play,
Uh-huh.
and then the rest of the world says ADHD people don't know how to play. It's still, it boggles my mind. It just, it's so confusing to me how these brilliant people just can figure out every single creative alternative to every situation that's thrown at them in life and succeed far better than anyone else. Yet everyone's like, you're stupid. Why would you have done that? Well, because it fucking worked. Sorry. Like, do I need to apologize for it working my way or not? And with being, with having a degree in psychology, what do you think the biggest issue is with the onslaught of the ADHD diagnosis? Like, it's, I think it's fake. I think they think it's not a real thing. And I'm talking about the rest of the world, not not the professionals that actually know, like you, that it is a real thing. But why are we so looked down on for like everything we do?
It inspires people to think about the ways that they put themselves down. I
Gotcha.
believe that we are mirrors for people in
Okay.
positive and negative ways according to how they perceive those recognitions.
Right. And
And
go ahead. Sorry.
there is, there seems to be a lot of drive in American society boosted along by ego, the fear of failure, and or the need to just need, you know?
Yeah.
And so someone has their belief of what it takes to be proper and safe and well and successful. And they make an observation of you. Maybe it's not even fully in context. They certainly don't know your train of thought or what you've been up to that day, but they have an observation and an experience they perceive as actually true, and they go from there. And as a parent, even seeing my own children, sometimes I really have to sit there and remind myself to take no offense, to
Yeah.
continue to do my best. For if I allow those kind of judgments to come through me about my own children, what will other people, think of them?
Yeah.
What will they be allowing others to put on? So
Right.
it's that too, it's like our body language changes the way that we feel throughout the day, I believe, with the
Oh,
ebbs
yes.
and flows of the attention and the focus.
Yeah.
And so at any given point, you and I, and possibly anyone else who has this uh, way that they live, we seem more dynamic.
Yeah.
Therefore, how can we be both? Which part of this is fake and or wrong and or getting in my way or yours?
Lobau Spark is proudly supported by Leo Guinan, Kirk Hofstrom, Casey Elliott, Sarah Delano, Justin Allingham, Blushing Crafter, Jamie Young, and Beth Jones. It is now also supported by 14 anonymous supporters. And I understand that completely. I know I can swear and all that kind of shit. If you want to support it and be anonymous, I get it. I get it. Whether you want to be mentioned by name or remain anonymous, this podcast does not exist without all of you. And I love you.
What's the problem with you? And it's not
Wow.
necessarily that it's a problem with you.
Yeah.
You might be feeling problemed by yourself. So it could be on your face, but even that might not be true. That's just how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that gets inspired in people based on what their expectations are, how realistic those expectations are, and what observing or conversating or interacting with you, or even just thinking about you when you're nowhere around, brings up in them. And it's that point where people have to realize that their realities are relative,
Wow.
because otherwise everyone's doing it wrong because they're not doing it like you are, or you're doing it wrong because you're not doing it like everybody else.
What a brilliant comment. Um, Between you and Jason, you have 3 kids, correct?
Yes.
Y'all will have the smartest humans ever in the history of the world. I can just tell you that now. That's really amazing that you say that, because I always thought that I was stupid because that was what was consistently told to me by teachers and whatnot, is, oh, you failed this algebra test, this history test, this math, whatever the fuck it was.
Right.
But what they didn't get at the time was, like, I was really smart with people. Like, I was really smart at being friends. I have a very large number of friends because I just care about them. And I think empathy is a thing with, ADHD. And I'm going to lead into this. I didn't tell Jason this, I don't think. But you're also bipolar, correct? Diagnosed. So the entire reason that this podcast started was because my wife's best friend took her own life 3 years ago, and she was ADHD and bipolar. And that, I get a little bit. I'd like to talk to you about the combination of those two
You
things,
may.
because this girl was never told by any teacher. This beautiful, beautiful, young, charismatic blonde girl was never told how great she was. Now, granted, by her husband, she was. She absolutely was supported. Like, he's one of my best friends to this day. But she never could understand that, like, people loved her. How does that play in to the? I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot on that, but I saw ADHD and bipolar both, just like Lauren.
Um, while speaking with the utmost respect of that person's life that was clearly loved, I had to. I was given an opportunity to continue loving myself through similar impulses during my adolescence.
Right.
And I like to contribute my stubbornness to keep showing up and making the choice. I'll say this crudely,
It's fine.
at least love someone can at least love themselves enough not to stop
Yeah.
loving themselves enough. I'm
You're saying it
like,
fine. You're saying it fine.
mm, it is difficult to answer any question about uh, perhaps what someone else may have been feeling or thinking, so I will not try.
Absolutely
Uh,
not. And I don't mean to,
I
like,
can,
I hope
I
this isn't too heavy. Like, I didn't mean to throw that in there. I
no,
just,
it's it is exactly as heavy as it is, and death is something that we are all striving to get to in a way that is glorious and peaceful and possibly liberating. Yet, when it happens abruptly, it definitely seems traumatic.
right.
Um, when I was a young person, before my young brother was born, uh, some some adults said things to me in their attempt to discipline that involved the idea that my life would no longer exist if I did not continue to do what they needed me to do.
You got to be kidding me.
It's
Wow.
it is on autoplay in the back of my mind when I feel very weak. And sometimes those feelings of powerlessness get physically interpreted in my body as something that just will not go away. So, as I mentioned, when I was in my adolescence, I was going to counseling
Right.
and continuing to find tools to breathe through those moments that felt so hopeless and unending so that I would would grow beyond the the fear and that feeling of controlled of another. Deeply, deeply loved people can still have a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I have only seen, I've only heard of what some people choose to do with it. And that is, I think it's a heaviness that is real. Um,
Yeah. I, I've heard it described, and I'm so sorry to bring that up as just when I saw ADHD and bipolar, I had to talk about it because
yeah,
I haven't been able, like, it's ADHD and autism or bipolar and autism or this. I've never seen the ADHD plus bipolar in the same sentence, and that's kind of why I wanted to discuss it
sorry.
with you. And I didn't mean to upset you. I
Yeah,
promise you. I
I
had
understand.
and
Uh,
but
that feeling when you had your arm broken,
yeah,
you were damn near anything to fix that, even while your arm was broken.
right.
That ADD drive in the midst of something that seems hopeless and unending could get the better of someone. It is a superpower, though, because it can
It's
keep you stubbornly coming back every day to say something like, it's another perfect day. Gratitude for another perfect day.
it's resilience. Confidence is such a major thing with ADHD, and it's an Kayla, it is an honor to have this conversation. I swear to God, like, this is amazing to me. Because it is something that everyone, yes, my podcast is more of the uplifting, let's go, whatever, but this is part of that. Like, part of the whole let's go, get up is the fact that you do have it inside you when you're impulsive. When you're impulsive, the only thing you're thinking about is the next thing. I don't know if that's yes, it could be detrimental. Impulse could be detrimental. it can also be the biggest advantage in the world. My impulse in college was I woke up and went to a stadium to work for a football team, and now I still work for them. 18 years later, I've had one job. That's it. That was the impulse of, oh, Lobau, you're crazy. Don't do this. Don't do this. Okay, well, fuck you. I'll show you I can.
Right.
And I think that part of our brain is such a this is such a double-edged sword. And the only way I look at it, because it's the only way that I can function, is to only sharpen the side that I'm good at. If
Mhm.
I pay attention to the dull side of the blade and I start sharpening a dull side, it's only going to get to a mediocre level. I want to make sure that the sharpest shit I have is so sharp that I can cut through all that bullshit immediately.
That's awesome.
That's the only way I know how to do it. And, but that's what works for me. That might not work for someone else.
Mm.
But we never tell people if it works for you, then that is what you should probably do. If it works for you to be functional, do it. Like, but we don't say that because then, of course, my wife, she's very loving, but she's like, what works for you? And I'm like, um, I really don't know, except for the
Mm.
fact that I can tell you this right now. I am not going to be any good at dishes, laundry, cooking, cleaning, anything like that. I will attempt to help, but I will break the plate. So what we need now is a bunch of paper plates and solo cups all over the house. I can't break anything then. I can't fuck that up.
That's
Like
pretty sweet, dude.
and so and God bless her soul. She loves, nice plates and all this kind of stuff, but she's doing it for me. And now, granted, for one day a week, I can focus and harness on the I will not break this plate. I will not break this plate. We're going to have a nice dinner, whatnot. But the other 6 days of the week, she's paper plates and solo cups so that I can't fuck it up and then feel bad. That's a massive advantage that I have is through someone that understands that can put themselves aside, just like I put myself aside with her on a lot of things
Mhm.
too. I think that's such an amazing quality that humans have is the ability to love. I just think that people with ADHD and all like neurodivergence love so much more than the average human,
It comes with a lot of passion for sure.
doesn't it?
It
Like that is,
all the time. And then it's big and on purpose and
yeah.
genuine and persistent.
Oh my God, the persistence. So many people get so mad at the persistence, and I'm like, I will not stop loving you. Like I won't. Like that's the. And some people get kind of intimidated by that, but I'm like, look, you don't understand how my brain works. I'm going to help you if I can every day, all day. That's the way it goes. It, think if 50% of the rest of the world felt the way we feel about other human beings. Can you imagine the change that could take place in terms of actually loving people?
Mm, the economy would definitely not like that.
Oh no, it wouldn't, but fuck the economy. We're not worried about money. We have ADHD now. but but yeah. So Kayla, thank you again for talking to me about that because I've waited for that outlet for and that might seem selfish on my part, but it's
I think it's perfect. It's poignant. It's
I
possibly
just
why even we're feeling drawn to do this.
yeah.
Um, and may I say another thing about the other
Yeah. Oh,
piece
you
of
can say whatever you want.
the low the I think the lows I described already and the bipolarity is it can come along too with a lot of energy and confidence and
Interesting.
clarity when those natural moments of confidence, clarity, and energy would arise. That is sort of what helped me rock skip through the other murkier symptoms of ADD. I believe it's possibly what made me go all the way until college before any professionals were thinking about giving me those little blue pills, you know.
Yeah.
And then it's as you mentioned, you know, having a dull side and a sharp side, and you know, what would you necessarily want to, you know, heave and hove on your dull side just to get some mediocre results when you can sharpen your bits that are good and just really be bringing your talent to the forefront.
Right.
That is also something that as a person who experienced bipolar, um, I felt that way too. And I've experienced it from my personal low and my personal best. And then those neutral feelings in between where the attention and the focus are sort of vying for which one is going to, you know, get to direct my mind and my heart.
Right.
It's like, well, sometimes humor is one of the only things that can make me feel more neutral about something. And,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes my sense of humor got me friends, and sometimes my sense of humor got me some, you know, some interesting looks from people. And sometimes I think my sense of humor is good enough to on purpose tell people. So I am doing some comedy
I
writing.
love it.
And when I get a chance, I will polish it up, and I'm working on a bit to perform. I figure if I've
That
taught
is
for
so
a
cool.
year, I got 6 and 7 year olds to listen to me well enough to be on grade level, that there might be some good people who have some shit going on that might just want to hear somebody else say it and have a laugh who's not trying to run for president.
Right. Oh my God. That's
You know, like
now there's the joke.
somebody else
There's
can
the
be.
joke right there. That delivery was perfect, by the way.
Thank
You
you.
had the up, the mediocre, and then you drop him down with that he's not running for president. That's fantastic. I promise you this right now. If you ever get on stage, I'm going with your husband and Guy Farmer and whoever else to watch you.
Oh, sweet.
And I swear to you, I will. And I this could go on for 4 hours because like I have so many questions to ask you now. But how has comedy like impacted you for the greater? In terms of like, is it an escape? Is it something your brain creates that is, you know, what is it? Is it about helping someone else laugh? Is it about your own ability to laugh? Like, how do we do this?
It started with my own ability to laugh.
There we
Uh,
go.
when I wanted to learn things, I could make up something funny on purpose, and I could
Right.
connect learning with parts of my humor and random experience that would otherwise seem unrelated. So it helped me academically. It helped me largely when I would be sitting in sermon. My one of my grandfathers was a Baptist preacher, and so he was the type to take me roller skating. Don't you want to go roller skating? I sure do. And then we'd pass out those little demon hunter pamphlets that scare the piss out of kids. And I was just like, well, I gotta fucking laugh at this, you know, in my own like 5 year old version of reality at the time. How can I think this is funny? Because otherwise I feel like a bad kid. I'm gonna go skate over here now.
I'm a recovering Southern Baptist. To be honest with you, both my parents are Southern Baptists, and honestly, we have a great relationship. We do.
That's awesome.
Like I love them tremendously. There are some things, however, that growing up, I didn't quite agree with at that time, and it was more scary than it was actually like religious,
Mm.
which I don't understand. I mean, if God is all knowing and all loving, you don't scare people into believing in you. You help them and love them. Then they believe in the message. You don't just say, hey,
Hmm.
by the way, if you listen to rock music or have sex before marriage, you're going to hell. You can't say that. Like people get turned off, immediately. And recovering Baptist here. Got it. Um, so Kayla, you know what's coming next. You know, because of the podcast with Jason. But I have to ask you this, and it is a very difficult question. However, I have to ask it. What in your life are you the most proud of? It this cannot be your kids or your husband, it has to be a characteristic within yourself that you are the most proud of.
Okay. There were times when I would catch my reflection in the mirror as early as I can remember having memories. I would feel spooked because what is that? Like, all of a sudden, I would become so aware that it made me feel like I was out of body. But I did not have that understanding of any sort of verbiage to put around that. That feeling of getting so startled and spooked is not what I'm the most proud of. What I'm the most proud of is that feeling to then again recognize myself and to self-soothe.
Awesome. So self-recognition, basically. Now, I love that. I do. But what individual characteristic, as in what what are you most proud of yourself for in terms of an individual characteristic? It can be your attitude, your passion, your this and that and the other, because this is the hardest question. And I can't even answer it. I asked a question I can't answer, but it's basically it's amazing to me. People will go through this path of, well, at this point, I was proud of this, or when I looked at the mirror, I was proud of that. You are really phenomenal at something. There is a characteristic within you, Kayla, I swear to you, that is the best characteristic on this fucking planet. Can you pinpoint that?
Eye contact.
Okay, yes, that works. What an amazing thing to have. Most people with neurodivergence will never look you in the eye. I mean, I can't even look at the damn screen. I'm like this and this and here and clapping and whatever. That is an amazing power to have. Most
Another
neuro.
thing,
Go ahead. Yeah,
also noticing when some people do or do not uh, seem comfortable with it, or where they are putting their eyes.
perception.
It, when I played soccer, for instance, I used to wonder why was my other goalie defender having such a hard time, and they'd ask me, basically the opposite, and I was like, well, you look at their eyes. And they're like, what do you mean? Nobody's looking at your eyes. You're playing soccer. It's like, clearly, that's how you know where they're going.
Oh my God. Okay. So if
And then
go ahead.
otherwise, that's how you connect. That's how you know
Okay.
you can trust.
You realize that eye contact is the most perceptive thing. Like, in my opinion, I think it's your perception of people that I love sports. That's my thing. And when you can notice why someone's doing this or that or whatever out of your peripheral vision, and then look at the one person in front of you and look him in the eye, that is a massive power to have. And Kayla, that's one of the greatest answers I've ever heard, ever, is eye contact. I've never gotten that. Thank you so much, because
Thank
eye
you for asking.
contact leads to perception. If you look someone in the eye, you can perceive what they're going through. And then you can help them with whatever they're struggling with. Or if you're playing soccer, beat them. I think that's the whole thing, is we can win and we can lose based on eye contact. And but to have that as a characteristic that you're proud of is the most fascinating answer I've gotten yet. I love you for that. That is, oh God, I wish I'm gonna make so many inspirational videos off that statement. So so this is gonna be part one of two.
Thank you for being this encouraging for your podcast. It is affecting the way others can go out and do what they either enjoy or feel required to do. you're helping to uplift their energy, which is obviously having that interconnected effect upon whoever and whatever they're getting involved with in their days. And even if they're just happening to be on a road trip, that's possibly one of the best times that you've helped them, because who's in their mind? They are.
Yeah.
And
And
keeping
it's all
this with
for Lauren.
thank you for taking action.
The only reason I'm able to do this is because I have friends, a lot of them, and from day one in high school, I would skip tests to go to, hang out with my friends, because that is what mattered to me. It was the people that mattered. I didn't care what I made on this test. It was like, oh, this is your whole future. Actually, fuck you, it's not. These people are my whole future. The interactions that I have with them, I still have the same group of high school friends 30 years later, because we go on one guy's trip every year. All of us. Everyone's is married, has kids or whatever, but we make it a point every year. We are taking a trip together so that we can talk to each other, confide in each other, all that kind of stuff. That's the way it needs to be. Because if you don't have that support system, then when you start to crumble, there's no one there to pick you back up. And that's, however, yes, your spouse can pick you back up, but every now and then you need a group of people that believe in you so much. And if you don't focus all of your attention on people and you focus all of your attention on grades, you'll get a degree, you'll be successful, and then when you're down, you'll have no one. And that's my whole, and I would say this to teachers that are like, no, you got to get a master's into this. And I'm like, well, yeah, if that's what you need to be happy, great, get a master's, do it. That's awesome. But for me, I don't need any of that shit. I just want to talk to people. That's it. I want to talk to people and watch sports. That's all it is. So, but Kayla, thank you so much. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I mean that so much.
I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.